Well, good evening, everybody. And I do mean everybody. Welcome to class number 4 of Business 493, Personal Money Management. Tonight, our topics are planning for retirement, college, and insurance, life, health, those key things. A lot of you probably already know about that. A lot of you are already in college. You probably already have planned for it. But we're going to go over those tonight. First thing I'd like to do is review assignment number 3 that I posted last week. And then I'd like to go over the paper topics for your paper. You have a paper due August 5th in class or on Blackboard in regards to a topic. And Oliver, I know, has chosen a topic. Cerise has not chosen a topic. Wait a minute, maybe he has. No, he hasn't. So we got to make sure we get those topics arranged tonight so I know what you people are doing. So let's take a look at assignment number 3. First off, you had to update your portfolio as of July 10th, that Friday. And I was looking for a couple of things. I was looking for number one question in the assignment was, has your company paid any dividends since you owned the stock? And for most of us, that probably was nada. Dividends, many companies have not paid. In my portfolio, Bristol Myers has paid a 45-cent dividend after I purchased the stock on June 12th. That 45 cents times the number of shares that I own gives me a dividend of $200.28. Pretty good. Merrick paid a dividend of 61 cents a share. So I took 61 cents times $328. I get almost $200 in dividends. And the reason why I did this is because that adds to my return on my investment. The stock price has changed from 100,000, or the portfolio value has changed from 100,000 to 104,000. That's a gain of about 4.8%. But you add to that gain the $400 I received in dividends, and that gives me a gain of about 5.25%. And I was looking for something along those lines. Also, I wanted to see how the market indexes of the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ changed from the June 12th original date of our portfolio to July 10th. Dow has gone up almost 2%, S&P about 4.75%, and the NASDAQ, which has been the superstar so far during the pandemic of the markets, 10.75%. So I wanted to see those indicators in your work in assignment number 3. You're going to have one last opportunity to update your portfolio for a grade as part of your class participation grade. It will be on Friday, July 31st. I will send a announcement of this next week, but you will, because next week we have an off week. So July 31st, Friday, is our final valuation date for our portfolio. You will check on how the portfolio has changed. You will check for any additional dividends that have been posted in the last couple of weeks. And you would compare and take an analysis of how the indexes have changed since June 12th as of July 31st. So that will be the final conclusion of our portfolio summary. And our portfolio, whoever has the best return of price and dividends, will get the award for our class, Wolf of Wall Street. So that's where we stand on the portfolio. And that was a question in assignment 3, to update your portfolio and also look for dividends that any of your companies had produced. So there's that. Also, let me bring up the assignment and a couple of things to mention out of that assignment. There it is. Nope, that's not it. Bear with me. And there it is right there. So a couple of things. Some of us were marked points off for not giving me any detail. Many of you, for question number 1, for the lowest risk investment, just said bonds. Well, all bonds have different risk. I wanted to have you give me specific investments that are low risk. Examples: a savings account, a treasury bill or notes, and a money market fund. Those are very low risk investments. In other words, you're not going to make much money on them, but the chance of losing money are very, very low. High risk investments could be very high rated or poor quality corporate bonds. Also, another high risk investment would be a business startup stock, a company that just has recently done an IPO or is a brand new company that has equity. And in some respects, that could be a very high risk because they don't have much of a track record. Another example of a high risk investment would be investing in commodities, investing in gold, silver. Even though gold has been a fairly decent one, there's still a lot of high risk there. Those markets can change rather quickly. So commodities, oil, gold, foodstuffs like wheat, corn, pork bellies, all that sort of thing. So those are examples. I was looking for specific investments or specific vehicles of those low risk and high risk investment. Dividends, pretty no-brainer. Coupon payment, no-brainer. Your stock portfolio, I just went up to, we just updated. And the question of insurance. Most of you did this, but again, some of us were rather vague. What type of insurance policy? What's the term? Was it term or annuity? That can be designated by life insurance. If you have a life insurance, it could be a term or annuity. All health insurance and all automobile insurance is term. It's for a particular period of time. Period covered, risk protection, and the type of insurance. So I'm looking something like that. Some of us were a little vague. I took some points off, but that's basically what I was looking for. So the major areas where we had some problems was in the portfolio. So make sure you take note of that and you clean that up for our next assignment, which will be July 31st, to update our portfolios. Okay. So now I want to go over another last thing here as far as work assignments are concerned. Let me bring this up. And it regards our case paper. All right, the case paper. It's due August 5th, and as I indicated earlier, Oliver has given me a title, but we have many students who have yet to give me a title for their paper. And once you have that title, you need to post it to this discussion forum with the title that you're doing, because you might need some help in looking for information. So make sure, Cerise, especially if you're listening, that you tell me your paper topic before too long. And that paper topic is included in that file folder that you can download. And here's what it looks like right here. The paper topics, a list of 1 to 13 of topics that you are to select and write a paper that's due Wednesday, August 5th to Blackboard. And one of these topics I would like you to do a little research on and write a paper on. The paper should be anywhere between 3 to 5 pages, double space, APA format in this paper. APA means a professional written work about the topic that you have chosen in this listing that I provided you. And here's a sample paper that I've given you also, which shows you the format that I would like you all to use in this discussion or in this paper. This is an APA format, meaning you don't have to worry about giving me the Laverne logo. But again, your title page indicating the nature of our course and that relevant information. Then an abstract page, one page solely in regards to an abstract. Now, what is an abstract in the APA format paper? It's where you state what you're trying to do here. What is your conclusion? What are you setting off to do based on the topic if you have chosen? And as you've done the research and looked into that topic, what are you planning to tell us in this paper about this topic? It's called the abstract. Other people might want to call it the introduction. I like the word abstract, a little bit more professional. And then the rest of the paper is to explain that. Explain the abstract, explain what you found out, explain to me the nature of your work and analysis, and you spend the rest of the paper leading to the final part of your paper where you have a paragraph concluding, summing it all up, relating the abstract to what you just explained to me, and in your concluding paragraph. You can even have that on a separate page if you like, but it's not necessary. And then the final page would be any appendixes showing any information you might want to show or relate to in your paper. And see more appendixes. And then your reference page or works cited, where you show me where you received or how you got the data in the analysis of your paper. And that's what I'm looking for. You do all that correctly, title page, abstract, paper, talk about the topic, concluding remarks, and your works cited. You don't have to give me appendixes with information, only if it's necessary, and your references, and you got an A. Put all that together, make sure everything's spelled correctly, and you sound reasonably intelligent. There's your paper. So that's what we need to do by August 5th. And many of us in class have yet to select a topic. Remember, this work is for 15% of your grade. You don't do it, bye-bye A. So make sure you get this topic selected and tell me about it. If you do not select the topic, or if you select a topic and don't let me know what it is, you're going to get 10 points off right off the bat when I start reading your work. I need to see the topics beforehand so I can prepare and see and prepare myself into what you should be writing about in your topic selection. So make sure you do that. Okay. Very good. The next area of discussion is the meat of our topic tonight. And since we only have 2 students in class tonight, I'm going to do this rather quickly. Thank you, gentlemen, for attending. I feel very lonely tonight. Just to make sure that all of you will not be assessed or tested on any material in chapters 5, 6, or 7, okay? Our assignments have concluded. Your remaining 2 grades or 3 grades in the class are the paper that you're doing for August 5th, the class participation of yourself during the course of the class. Have you been attending class? Have you been participating? And also part of that class participation is the July 31st portfolio evaluation, all right? And that's our remaining grades in the class. Portfolio evaluation, class participation, and this paper. And then we come to the conclusion of our class. So again, I am not going to assess you on chapters 5, 6, or 7, but for your own peace of mind going forward in your career, in your life, it's probably a good idea to know a little bit about planning, a little bit about insurance, and a little bit about, or a lot about, taxes. And that's our topic for next week. So that's I'm just telling it to you the way it is. You're not going to be tested on any of this material, but it's probably a good idea to know a little bit about this stuff. Okay, now, We've talked about planning in this class already. We've talked a lot about planning. We've talked about planning for and understanding investments. We've talked about planning for budgeting. We've talked about planning and knowing, excuse me, what bank accounts to use, what investments to use. That's all part of planning. And this chapter 5 is about planning for specific things. And that's important. When you get a job with a company, one of the first questions they ask you is, would you like to participate in our retirement plan? One of the first things somebody will ask you if you start having children and have a family, would you like to start planning for college for your children? One of the first things people ask you when you're getting into your 30s, 40s, or 50s is, are you putting money aside for retirement, right? These are part of the plans of personal money management that you have to do throughout your life, all right? And all of these vehicles of planning are pretty simple. The most difficult thing about planning for retirement, planning for even death, the most important thing for planning for college for your kids or even for yourself is, what do you want? That's the most difficult thing about planning. Yeah, I'd like to have money for going to college or send my kids to college. Yes, I'd like to have money for retirement. Yes, I'd like to have money to plan for certain things. But what specifically is it for? When do you specifically need it? And how much can you plan or budget for that goal? Those are the biggest questions. The actual process of planning, of taking money out of your paycheck for retirement, or setting money aside into a 529 investment vehicle to put money aside for college. In California, it's called a 529 investment. Is, what do you want? What are your needs? And a lot of us can't figure that out for quite a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't know what your insurance needs or your retirement needs or even college for kids if you don't have any kids yet. Right? These things will develop over time. And that's why planning is a timeline. It's a timeline. At certain stages of your life, what do you need? What do you want? What are you looking forward to? When you're just out of college, what is the first thing you want? I want a job. I want to work. The next thing, after you start working for a while, you want to develop your career. You want to maybe do an advanced degree, or you want to make yourself more valuable in the marketplace. Maybe, excuse me, maybe eventually you want to go work for somebody else. Work for yourself, be an entrepreneur, or take over a family business. But then once you hit that timeline, you determine that, then you might have a family, children, wife, spouse, friend, partner, and you're going to want to take care and plan with them. So there's a timeline involved. All right. One of the craziest things going on now in the world is a lot of us, our jobs, our career, our lives are topsy-turvy. We don't know if one day from the next what's going to happen in the future. Are we going to have our job next month? Is my university going to be closed next month? Who's going to be our president? And do we have any decent leaders to run this friggin' country? Every day it's a new unknown. It's a new thing. And most of all of us in this country now around the world, our timelines are really messed up. We don't know what's going on. And some of the best way of getting out of that being messed up about timelines is making sure that the decisions you make today about the future are ones that make you comfortable. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with our careers and our jobs and our companies we work for. Of course, there's a lot of things we don't have any control of. What we do have control of is our health, is the management of our families. So we need to address those issues because we can control them. If we do our job and get a good college education and get a good degree and do the right things and are ethically sound and be nice to people and do our job and work hard, those things will take care of themselves. So the timeline is what's affecting you now or in the future that you can actively control. I can now control that I'm working, okay? Don't know how long I'm going to work, but I'm working. But I know how much money I can afford to put into a retirement fund. I know how much money I should set aside for a college fund for my son or daughter. I know how much money I should set aside because the future is unknown. Maybe I should sock away some money because of that unknown future. I become a citizen by understanding I'm going to make a decision in November about the future of this country. I should maybe start taking some information about who are these people that are running our governments, our state, local, and federal governments. Am I happy with them, or can I change them by voting? So in other words, planning is understanding what you want that you have control of. And the planning part that you have control of will make an effect, get you prepared for those things that you don't have control of, like your job, like the future of society. That's a little deep, but you kind of see what I mean. So that's an important thing of planning. Know what you want, what do you want, but at the same time, what do you have control of? What can you administer? The older you get, you start paying attention to your health more. So part of good financial planning is having health insurance to make sure you see doctors and take care of your health. Because the better your health, the longer you will live, and the longer you will have more satisfaction in your life. Question. How do you plan to have a family since you are the leader of the family? Cerise, I don't really understand that question. Leader of the family meaning you're a father, a grandfather, an uncle, or you're a leader of the family and you're a son and you are leading the family? Oh, okay. Well, that's a very good question about how do you know when you should have a child. That's a good question, Cerise, and that's one that as I grew up in my life and a lot of my friends, a lot of us sometimes made wrong decisions about when to have a child or not. I particularly did a pretty fair job on that, but for most individuals, if you work and have a career, when to have a child, there's a couple of factors. First of all, financial. Can I be comfortable financially of having another person to be responsible for? Financially, meaning do I have enough money or have enough career money or enough investments where with that child, if I die, that child is taken care of and my wife or spouse is taken care of financially. But even more importantly, in many respects, especially if you're younger, are you emotionally ready to have a child? Right? You might have a lot of money, but you still want to go out with the homeboys at night. Or you want to, you want to sow a few wild oats, or you want to relax. When you're a father, you can relax, but there's certain times you cannot relax. You have responsibilities. So that's a big step, is are you emotionally ready to have a child or a family? And another thing about having a child is where you live. Are you happy where you live? Or do you foresee moving or leaving the area that you're in now and going on to other parts of the country or the world? With a child and a family, that makes it a little bit more difficult, especially as they get older. Are you settled in and you enjoy living where you are now? Okay, then you don't have to worry about that. But a lot of us, after we've been in a job for a while, when we get a little antsy because we want maybe more responsibility or more money, we begin to think about leaving that company or that area and go out and proceed and go after something more. Well, if you have a child or family, that plays into that decision big time. So when is the good time to have a child? It's an individual thing. It's an individual thing with your partner, your wife. It's an individual thing with your surrounding family, brothers, sisters, grandparents, fathers, mother. Are you financially, emotionally, and do you want to one of the great things about where you live is if you live and have a family around where you have other family members, that makes it a little bit easier to raise a child. I know from my personal thing, I raised two children with my wife, but we were in New York. We were a half a country away from our families. And that was a big deal. They couldn't see their grandparents a lot, maybe once or twice a year. They couldn't see their aunts or uncles or their cousins. And that sometimes it wasn't difficult in our family because I have a bunch of wacko family members. No, teasing. But it does make a difference if you can't be around the grandparents or your cousins or your uncles and aunts. That's a big deal too. That plays a lot into it. Having a child is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever have to make in your life, by far. Big decision. And you have to take that and think about that and communicate that with your spouse or your wife or your partner or your other family members. That's a big deal. And also where you live in the world, it's a big deal. Bringing a child into the world in certain parts of this world is a lot more difficult than if you're in other parts of this world due to the nature of the social issues, political issues. You got to take that in consideration too. So, Suresh, you opened up a big can of worms there by asking that question, but I think you understand it gets complicated. It's a big deal. But planning is part of that. Planning is planning about having a family and a child. What do you want? I want to have a kid. What do you want? I want to have a nest egg. I want to have financial security. What do you want? I want a fast-paced career. I want to have a lot of upward mobility in my career. What do you want? I want happiness. Oof, that's a loaded question. Can't get happiness by having a lot of money. I know a lot of wealthy people that are downright unhappy. That's a big subject. So a lot going on there. So planning is what you want. And let's say I want to plan for retirement. Okay. I want to look for those vehicles to put money away. 401k from your work, or if you work for a not-for-profit, a 403b. Another retirement vehicle is real estate. Investing in a home, investing in real estate. That's because usually you're going to hang on to that real estate for quite a while so it can increase in value and you can pay it off. Investing in real estate. That's another vehicle of retirement. Question. It's up to you, Cerise, to have enough money before the child is born or not. Some people have children and they're not financially viable yet, but they know they're emotionally ready. They know they want to have a child. So they're willing to adjust their life financially to have those children. It's up to you. There's no clear-cut answer to that one. Me, I'm a businessman. I'm a business guy. Before I started having children, I wanted my career pretty well on course and have a little money set aside. Not a lot, but a little. But other people, money's not that big a deal, especially if you have family around you. I just want to have a child or children. And maybe emotionally you're better adapted, ready for that than financially. It again depends on you. But you have to be realistic. By not being ready financially, how will that affect you raising that child or children? It makes a big deal. So I guess, Cerise, the answer to that is you're not really, it's an individual determination of whether you're financially fit. And then financially ready is different for many people. If I have $500 in the bank, oh, I'm ready to have a kid. Other people say, I'm not having a kid until I have 20 G's in the bank. It depends. It's an individual thing according to your culture, what makes you comfortable, your risk, and that sort of thing. But that's a good question. So back to retirement planning, you have the vehicles of taking money from your work pay, 401k for a corporation, 403b for a not-for-profit, investing in real estate, buying a house. Another big thing about a vehicle for retirement is second income. Have another source of income. This is one of the best things I ever did in my life. I worked for myself and worked for other people for 35, 37 years. Worked for JP Morgan, worked for myself, had my own business, but I was getting burned out. So about 10, 15 years before I decided to call it quits with my company and sell it, I started teaching. And I found a second career, a second livelihood. Not much of a livelihood. The thing about that is you don't make much money teaching. But I found something that I knew I could be still doing when I'm 70 years old. Find something else to do during the course of your career, of your life, that's a second income, but something to keep you going after you decide to retire from your regular career job. Maybe you'll help run a family business. That can be a lot of treacherous to that, but find some, maybe you want to coach athletics. Maybe you want to be a helper of people, a social worker, an elderly worker. One of the best things you can do during your life as you're growing up and as you're doing your career is find something else to do. Giving back, creating passion, happiness for you. A second income doesn't hurt. And then when you do retire or you get to a point in time where, it's now time to move on, you have something else you can do. I'm busier now than I've ever been in my life. But I enjoy it. It's not a hassle. It's not like getting up every day and making sure you can make payroll. It's getting up every day and who am I going to help? Who am I going to do? What am I going to do better? That's a great way of ending your career or your life. I'm at a great point. And that's another cool thing about retirement planning. Try to find something like that. Try to find some people learn how to play instruments or learn the arts, be a painter. All kinds of things you can do to add value to your life once you realize that, okay, your career is over. It's time to move on. Some people realize this when they're in their 30s. You know what? I'm not working for the man anymore. I'm going to do something I really enjoy doing. Even though I'm not going to make much money, I'm going to be happy. So that's another part of planning, is your life goes through that timeline I was talking about, or cycles, and how you adjust your life to those cycles. Keeps you happy. I have a lot of friends of mine who make a lot of money, as I said earlier, who are not very happy. They've worked all their lives, and what have they gotten? Their children don't like them. They're on their second or third marriages, and there's not much going on. And yes, they're satisfied and they're okay, but they're missing something. And I'm always feel sad for them. And I'm thank my lucky stars that I'm not in that position at this stage of my life. And that's something you should think about. Something you should think about. What do you like doing that's not going to make much income, but it just gives you something else to look forward to down the road? Another key thing to worry about retirement in regards to money is, do I plan to use that retirement for savings, or do I want to draw on it before I retire? Use that as a vehicle to buy a house. Use it as a vehicle for college education. So retirement planning could be, yes, I'm socking money away, but maybe you're socking money away for different things. Retirement, but also a way of drawing on that at certain stages of your life. I know when my daughter gets married, and she'll probably get married within the next couple of years, the father pays for the wedding. Well, I've been socking money aside for years not having no idea when my daughter was ever going to get married, but I've been putting money into a little fund, and that's for when she gets married. And I will pay for whatever I can pay for. Hopefully she'll want to elope and I don't have to pay for much. But that's another thing. Putting money aside in retirement, but savings that you can draw for other things, a wedding, that sort of thing. So that's retirement planning. Another big issue, and I'm sure you guys know about it, is college planning. And it goes without saying, and I'm going to slam a few things here. And Cerise, you know me a little bit, but Oliver, you don't. College is too expensive. It really is. Most colleges have priced themselves out of the market. And why have they priced themselves out of the market? Because they're greedy. They're just like any other business. They're greedy. The problem is there's a lot of people in our country now who are from lower income that want to go to college, and it's too expensive for them. And then they have to borrow money. Borrowing money for college is okay as long as you know the limitations of borrowing money for college. The limitations are you're going to have to pay it back once you start working and developing your career, and it's going to put a little bit of a hindrance to your financial well-being by paying back that loan over many years. I always tell my students, never borrow money to go to graduate school. If you're going to graduate school, either, excuse me, either have your employer pay for it or you pay cash. Don't borrow any more money. Don't take out a second loan. You already have a loan from undergraduate college. Don't take out a second loan. The value is not there. You're wasting your time and your money. Graduate school is wonderful. I thank my lucky stars every day I went to graduate school, but don't borrow money for it. Only go to graduate school when you can pay cash or somebody else is helping you, like your employer. So that's one thing to remember. Colleges have priced themselves too expensive. But you got to go to college, pretty much. Yes, you hear those success stories of somebody who was a high school grad or not even a high school grad that started a pizza business and now is a zillionaire. The odds favor you to get a college education because you make yourself more competitive in the workplace. Now, if you're going to go out and invent something or start a pizza company, God love you. But if you're not going to do that and you're just going to work and find a career and do a good job, college is a necessary thing to have these days. Society is changing rapidly. This pandemic is even going to make it change even quicker. Technology, remote communications, remote management. A high school degree ain't going to work in the changing technology of our world. You got to have the skills. You got to have the knowledge of that. So college is a necessary thing. Question. Please tell Jake that. Jake, you mean Jake the golfer? Why, he wants to blow off college? Yeah, he'll learn his lesson. Cerise, he'll learn his lesson. It will happen. I know I had a lot of friends of mine when I was in college years ago that kind of blew off college, or high school buddies who blew off college, or buddies in college who blew off college, kind of just went to college to party and play sports. Then they didn't get much of a degree or had a very low grade point average, and then they went out into the workforce. They did not recover from that until they were in their mid to late 30s. It took them 10 to 15 years to recover from a poor or not going to college experience, to get competitive again, to get caught up. They lost a lot of time by doing that. Yeah, you're right, Cerise. Somebody should tell Jake that. Okay, so college is a necessary thing. But it's a timing thing. You don't need to graduate from college, from high school, and immediately go to college. You don't. That's not a rule. You go to college when you're ready, financially, just like everything else, emotionally, just like everything else, when you're ready. Maybe go out and get dirty for a couple of years, then go to college. Or get a college business degree, a BA degree, get dirty for a few years, work, develop a work reputation. Maybe your company will pay for half of you getting a graduate degree. It doesn't have to be done in 4 to 6 years. It doesn't have to be done in your 20s. You can get an education and degree all through your life. I still take classes at a community college about a variety of things that I'm interested in. I'm not going to tell you because you'll laugh. But you'll learn all your life. So don't be in any hurry. Be in a hurry to understand how college will affect your life. College is just like having a kid, especially if you're paying for it. It changes your lifestyle. It's a big deal. Now, if you're fortunate to have a family that covers college or help you out, that's the best. But you should seize that opportunity because now you're on the fast track in your career because you don't have to worry about debt. You don't have to worry about the financial constraints because if you went to college because you were in a fortunate situation. In California, we have an investment vehicle, and in all parts of the country, maybe in some foreign countries too, called a 529 plan. That's an investment plan that you can put money tax-free, tax-deferred into an investment fund, and that's solely for college expenses down the road. It's like a 401k for retirement. This is a college fund for college, and you get tax benefits from that. It's called a 529. Many of us get involved in that. It's a tax break too. Another thing about college, and I told my kids this all their lives in school, be smart. Have a good grade point average. Or be an athlete. Participate in student groups, student affairs. Be somebody who's active in high school and elementary school and junior high school. That'll help you get scholarship money, grant money, and reduce your burden of education. I was an athlete. I was very fortunate. I was a D1 athlete and got a full scholarship to go to a great institution for free. I thank my lucky stars, and I've given more money back to that institution over my lifespan to thank them for giving me that opportunity to get a free education. What a deal. And then again, I was fortunate a couple of years later, I was working for a company that was willing to pay for 3/4 of my graduate degree. Very fortunate. Now, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world and the greatest person in the world, but I worked hard to get to that point where I could get a scholarship and get funding for graduate school. If you do that early in your life or preach that to your children, that's going to save you a lot of financial burden down the road. Really will. So planning for college is just like planning for retirement, just like planning to have a child, just like planning to buy a car, just like planning to buy real estate. When is the right time? How does it affect you once you decide to make that decision? And what are the vehicles, the investments, the financial things you can do to help you achieve that goal in the quickest possible area? And the last part of planning is our poll question. We're not going to have a break tonight. I'm just going to go right through for the next few minutes and then we'll end class. I don't understand this. I've never had a class before that only 2 students showed up. Am I doing something wrong? I gotta take a look at that one. That's very interesting. Okay, so here's a poll that I have tonight that I'm going to show you guys. Just a sec. See if you guys can do this. The poll question is, what scares you about the future? Select more than one if applicable. So what scares you about the future? Your career, debt, health, retirement, education, security, government, Dodgers, Angels. What concerns you about the future? What do you worry about the future? See if you can, you guys two, Oliver and Cerise, see if you can tell me about what concerns you, scares you about the future. See if you can do that. I'll give you a few minutes. What scares me about the future is the Dodgers. Everybody says they're going to win. I don't know about that. See, that scares me, but career, debt, education, that's beyond me. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Health, yes. All right, let's show what you guys put down. What concerns you or scares you about the future? Everybody said career. Don't blame you. Career. What am I going to be doing? What am I going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years? What's going on there? Another one, debt. Naturally. Can I manage my debt, or that makes me nervous? Some people handle debt a lot differently than other people. I didn't like debt. I always wanted to have very little debt if I could. Sometimes I couldn't avoid it, but that debt always scared me. Health, naturally. You want to keep your health. Even you want to keep your health around the people around you. That's important. And finally, education. Yeah. Should I go on to graduate school? Should I transfer out of Laverne and go to someplace else? What should I do about education so I can get value to help my career, minimize my debt? Education is a good one. And again, a lot depends. If I'd ask this question to people my age, they probably would say death, health, retirement, and in some cases, security or the government. But you are picking the right ones. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. But all this leads into planning. If you're nervous and scared about your career, you got to make sure you're prepared for your career and taking the right steps to make sure you have a good career or with solid companies. You can manage your debt by making decisions. All right, I can either borrow money to go to college or borrow money to get a new car. I can't do both. A lot of us would say the car, but the smart thing probably would be to college. And health. We're always concerned about our health. I think those are good selections. And here are the results right here for you guys to see. And this would have been a little bit more interesting if we had more students tonight, but what can you do? So thanks guys for participating in that. That helps. But this all leads into our next topic. Career, okay. You control that by getting a college degree, by doing what you guys are doing now. Debt, well, maybe that's not out of you don't have much control of that because you're still living in a family maybe. But down the road, getting a credit card, borrowing money, you have to control that. Health, you control that too by taking care of yourself. But in terms of planning for these things, we need insurance. You know, I still hate. I just got my car insurance bill today, 2 days ago, for the next 6 months. why? I don't even drive our cars now. Both our cars have been sitting in the garage almost for 3 months. We hardly do any driving. Yes, they gave us a discount, but insurance, would I really need insurance? I don't drive the damn things. Life insurance, yes. Planning for death, planning to make sure the people who are here after you're gone are taken care of. That's a big thing, especially as you get older. And then finally, health insurance. My wife, a year ago, just last month, had to go to the hospital because she was feeling rather tired and poorly. They found that she had a little bit of cancer in her stomach area. They took her into surgery, took it out, went to some therapy. Now she's doing some chemotherapy right now. All is well. But you know what all that cost over the span of like 2 months when she had surgery and coming out of that with therapy? You know what that cost? $625,000. $625,000. She had the best care in the world. She went to Huntington Hospital in Pasadena, which is one of the area's best hospitals. She had great doctors from the City of Hope. If any of you know about the City of Hope, just the best care money can buy. But $625,000, I do not have $625,000 in cash that I can pay out for my wife's health. I had health insurance. You know how much I paid off of all that money? I paid roughly around $2,200. The insurance company paid all the rest. Health insurance, and you don't think about it much until you really need it, and then it's a lifesaver. It's a financial lifesaver. So you need to plan. When you're single, like you two guys are, maybe I don't need health insurance right now. If I can get it through my job and I don't have to pay much for it, fine. But I'm not going to get it on my own. Life insurance? Nah. What do I need that for? I'm 22, 23 years old. I'm going to live forever. Don't need that. But when you start having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you start having partners or beginning to have a family, have people who are responsible for you, then you have to have insurance to take care of not only yourself, but those people who care for you. In the state of California and most states in the United States, you have to have car insurance or you can't drive. It's illegal. Auto, health, life. Now there's a variety of different plans to minimize those costs, but you have to worry about the liability issues. Insurance covers two things. Insurance covers liability and insurance covers fault. Liability means if you hurt somebody else or something else happens to somebody, not you. Fault is if it happens to you, you're covered. But also if you make a mistake in driving a car, that liability, you're glad you have it. In life insurance, the fault is how healthy are you? Do I need life insurance because maybe I'm not very healthy? And so that's a key factor in insurance. Liability and fault or risk of getting injured, death in an accident. And policies are set by term or what is called annuity or whole life. Term insurance is automobile insurance is for a specific period of time. Health insurance is term insurance is for a specific period of time. Usually 1 year, then they renew it the next year. Same with auto insurance. Auto insurance is usually 6 months, then they renew it. If your lifestyle changes, if you've gotten ill, if you're a bad driver, they change your policy. You also can get life insurance for a term, for a specific amount of time. The video I posted in my introduction video tonight talked about that, term insurance. You get a life insurance policy for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, you're older. Now you can get another term policy, but you're going to pay more for it. Or you can get whole life or an annuity life insurance, where you make specific payments, the same payments over all your years, and you get that life insurance when you die. It's the same rate over a period of time. Term is the cheapest form. Whole life, though, or annuity is more as an investment. With term insurance, the only time you get that money back is when you die. With annuity and whole life insurance, it's an investment. You can draw on that. You get investment income off of it. You can draw on that at certain times in your life. Right now, I have an annuity life insurance policy on my life, and I won't tell you the dollar amount. But now that I've gotten a certain age, I now can get income distributed off that insurance policy. I still have the insurance because I've put money in over all these years and it has grown as an investment. I get an annuity payment I make a little money now off of that. And still I have the life insurance. I had to pay a lot into that insurance policy over my life. If I had a term insurance policy, I would have paid a lot less. But now I'm getting the benefits of that as an investment vehicle. So that's an important decision. So insurance, just like everything else, at certain points in your life, you don't need to really worry too much about it. At other periods in your life, you better have it. Health, you should have always. Auto insurance, yeah, you should have it because we're in a mobile society. But if you don't have a car, don't get it. Life insurance, yeah, it depends on your situation. Who's responsible to you? For many years, I got a life insurance policy because I'm the oldest child in my family. So I had part of my insurance help for if I die, it'll go to my siblings, my 3 sisters. Because I was the oldest, a lot of them were still in school or even a lot younger than me. So if I die, they get some money out of that because I felt I was responsible being the oldest child. That's something to think about as well. So those are the 2 key issues that we're talking about tonight. Planning and the vehicles by which you plan and protect the risk of your life. The risk of growing old, the risk of poor health, the risk of going out and driving on the 405 freeway, the risk of retiring so you don't have to work anymore, the risk of enjoying your life in your older years, and the risk of taking care of your family as you have a family over the course of your life. One of the key parts of personal money management is to cover all these things. And this helps going over this. And if you still don't want to bother with this, you have a lot of people like your HR office at your company will help you with retirement. You have a lot of people that can help you as advice to a lot of these vehicles that you could rely on. So that's our lecture for this evening. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I'll save this. I will post this to Blackboard, this little whiteboard. Cerise, I need your paper topic maybe by this weekend. If you could look at that list and post a topic that you might be interested in writing on, please do. Oliver, I already have yours. Thank you for participating in that poll. Oh, Cerise, thank you. If you already posted it, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm at a wit's end tonight about where all the students are. This is amazing. So be that as it may, I've recorded this session, the key points of this. The key points are for us as far as grades are concerned is to make sure you work on your paper the next couple of weeks and make sure you update your portfolio on July 31st. And I will send all out information in that regard next week in our off week. So paper, portfolio update, and we're done. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here this evening. I appreciate it. I'm going to sign off if there's no other questions. And I'll see you guys all in 2 weeks, our last class on August 5th. And again, I've recorded this if you ever want to refer to it again. So thank you, guys. Hope all is well. Cerise, I appreciate you staying up late to be here. Thank you. It's appreciated. And Oliver, I appreciate you turning in your paper topic so early. You were one of the first ones, and I appreciate that. So thanks, gentlemen. If nothing else, I say adieu. Adios.
Professor?
Yes, Cerise.
So, sorry I didn't turn in the assignment last week. I wasn't aware of the assignment. So, but with the case paper, is it you're talking about like the question I pick is the one with like the diversity in the workplace and stuff like that, like the acceptance. How can I make that related to like personal finance?
Well, it's not. It's related to personal finance because it's related to a career. It's related to job satisfaction. It's related to how you feel in the workplace as you develop your career. Okay. You don't want to work for a company that does not treat their employees respectfully. You don't want to work for a company that is, for lack of a better word, all white. You want to work for a company that understands what society is all about and all the different types of races and situations in the world, and you want to work for a company that satisfies that. That's my
Mhm.
interpretation. Now,
So
some
it's
people might
more.
want to not work in a in that atmosphere, and that's their problem. But for example, these topics in personal money management not only apply to finance, they apply to career, they apply to retirement, they apply to the quality of life of your life, where you work and where you live. Okay. And that has also to do with personal money management, because then you're content, you feel satisfied, you're working for a company that treats people well, that you understand the diversity of the world and you treat all different types of people respectfully. That's an important quality. Now, it has nothing to do with investments, but it has a lot to do with your quality of life. And your quality of life has a lot to do with your personal affairs. Make sense?
Uh, yes, it is. All right.
You might want
I'll
to
start
you might
doing
want to
one.
interview your father about this. That'd be a neat way to go. Interview somebody who's running a business. How do they handle diversity? Now, with family businesses, that's a little bit a stretch because you're limited by the amount of people you can hire. But at the same time, if I was doing this paper, I'd go out and interview somebody who runs a business and ask them how do they handle diversity. That'd be kind of cool in a paper to talk about that interview.
So it's a bit better if I went to interview someone with like let's say an owner of a corporation or something like that.
Yeah, or somebody who runs a department in a corporation, who does the hiring, who manages people.
I gotcha. All
Okay,
right.
that's
And
an that's a, that's an interesting topic to study, because if you're gonna be a manager and a leader in business all your life, you need to worry about diversity and how you handle that.
I will. And I don't know if you know, but I put this class and every other class for credit, no credit.
I did
I
not
just
know that, but I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah, I don't want you to like think that like I don't like it or anything, but it's just that for summer I had like I don't know why, but I took overload for 18 credits this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of workload that I have to do for the summer class and then for the work at
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to take some stress out with like the workload for the summer classes with so I just